providing resources and comfort to caregivers. This is Caregiver Crossing.
Well, good morning. That's right. You are listening to Caregiver Crossing. I hope that you're doing wonderful this lovely Sunday morning. If it's your first time joining us, Caregiver Crossing is a show brought to you by Joy's House, presented in partnership with Cardon and Associates. And thanks for being right here. This show was created for family caregivers and the people who love them. And we are with you every Sunday morning to discuss all things caregiving. I am Tina McIntosh.
And I am Candace Hattabaugh. I'm excited to be back.
Okay, so you've been traveling.
I've been traveling. I've been gone like 4 weeks, haven't I?
Yeah. It's been a long, it feels like forever.
We went to Miami for a little bit, and then we ended up in Key West. Not Key West. We were going to go to Key West. We went to St. Pete for a little while. So
I have a question for you. I was thinking about it as we were getting ready for the show, and you're very sun-kissed, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm very jealous. When you're in Miami in particular, because we say Miami, and I guarantee you're listening and instantly you get this vision of Miami, right? When we're thinking about aging in Miami, how would that be different than aging in Indiana? Can you see it?
No, I don't think that's a good idea. I would not want to age in Miami. But I've seen older people there that I would, in my mind, are from Miami and know the area. I wouldn't retire there. But I'm sure just like any city, there's smaller pockets of town. You know, there's little Haiti, there's little Mexico, there's little communities that I'm sure I like to hope hug and take care of their community. But
so if you're thinking about, now you're young, but as you're thinking about, I just got done with the book, and if I could remember the title of it, it would be really great for this conversation. But it was all about how the first half of our lives we're building things up, right? What does our household look like? What does our family look like? Professionally, what do we want to do? Who am I? You know, the exploration, all of the things, trying new traditions and things. And then the second half of our life is very much about what legacy do I want to leave behind? And what do I want to teach the people in my life? And, you know, how do I give back? How do I become fulfilled with purpose?
That's so interesting. I was just having those thoughts on my way to work this morning.
Is that right?
On the way in this morning.
And so when we think about that, where do you think you want to land? I mean, it does matter where you are. It really does also matter who's around. Like, I don't have the answers. I'm just going to ask you all the questions.
Me, I picture either somewhere like Indiana or Tennessee or Georgia, just that type of woodsy, green, most of the time feel, and doing something with the aging population. I know that's my legacy. I don't know what that looks like. You know, I've always had the dream of the sorority and fraternity house for seniors that don't want to live alone, but don't necessarily need a nursing home care.
That's why you have to build it before I'm ready, so I can just live there and you can take care of me.
Well, see, that's what I was thinking this morning. Now is the time. I've spent 37. I spent the time helping you and helping Joy's House and helping others. What's my legacy? What am I going to leave behind? So
you're going to have to do it.
I'm going to have to do it.
And now listen, I don't want, this is a really odd conversation for us to be having on the radio, because I don't want to push you out of this beautiful nest that we've created together.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Let's be honest. So
absolutely.
For those of you who don't know, when Candace came to work at Joy's House, she was 19, right?
I think so. 19 going on 20 or 20 going on 21. Maybe that's it.
And you're 37 and I'm 52. So do the math. So I was 15 years older. I mean, like, we've raised each other at this point.
And along those same lines, I don't think I've ever said this out loud to you, but I've compared myself to you just over the years, and not in a bad way, but I'm like, Tina was a baby when she was making all these great things. So Candace, what are you doing? So
Now, and I think that's one of the, I mean, this is maybe a different therapy session, but, one of the hazards of in the last year or so at Joy's house, have really I've been trying to do this for a while, but get out of the way, I also still know I'm really good for Joy's house and Joy's house is good for me, but I also want to get out of the way and let everybody else leave their legacy and mark here. Because this Joy's house, Caregiver Crossing, all the stuff we do for all, family caregivers and for the guests who come to our adult day services is because we've all done it. Yeah. So, I do want to make sure I say this with an audience, like your part of your legacy is what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. Like that makes me want to cry, it gives me feelings. And at the same time, if it takes us lovingly pushing you out of the big nest, it really is going to make me cry. For you to go and do the thing that I know you have dreamt about doing for so long, I am behind you 100%.
Yeah.
But if you don't keep in touch, I will hunt you down.
Sorry, we're going to cry now, guys. I'm going to keep in touch, definitely.
Candace has talked about this, really creating this environment for people that is different than anything that's out there. And I'm going to tell you right now, whatever she says I believe in entirely. I just don't know if it's going to be in Indiana, in Tennessee, or in Georgia.
Yeah, right.
But I do hear you say that. And I think about your people are in those places too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so I think, part of it is, you mentioned the small pockets of communities like in Miami and stuff. I think that's all true. We can get that in any community, or create it in any community. But I think it has so much to do with the people and really less to do with the surroundings. Even though in my head, when I think about a retirement place or a place to grow older, I think about the surroundings and I sometimes forget about the people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's either going to be that or like a nudist colony in the backwoods of...
Oh, I've met you. So, yeah, listen, we send each other homesteading videos all the time.
I love it.
I just fed my husband the other day. He's had a cough this last week, and I fed him my fermented garlic with cayenne pepper and with red flakes. It hasn't killed him, so I feel like we're doing okay.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, well, we've got a good show coming up. I know, Candace, we've had questions about past episodes. Where is the easiest way for people to find those?
caregivercrossingradio.org. You can find all of our past episodes, and it's also going to connect you to the Joy's House website. So go ahead and click around. Stay up to date with all the great things we've got coming up.
So many things for caregivers.
We're doing
so many
big things here, folks. So caregivercrossingradio.org is going to be where you want to go.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, something wonderful is going to happen. I just don't know what it is yet. Candace is in charge.
This is our first week back together, so give us some grace.
Oh, Lord. We're going to talk about Movember, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right. Stick around. We'll be back in just a moment on Caregiver Crossing.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you as a service of Joy's House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. With locations in Broad Ripple and near the University of Indianapolis campus, Joy's House provides exceptional day services for individuals living with a life-altering diagnosis and compassionate support for family caregivers throughout the community. At Joy's House, we believe that everyone deserves to live their best life regardless of their abilities. Learn more about our adult day and caregiver support services by calling us at 317-254-0828 or visiting joyshouse.org today. All right, we'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing right after this.
We're back on Caregiver Crossing. I am Tina McIntosh. I'm in studio with my dear friend. What's your name?
Candace Hadaball.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you don't remember your last name, which makes me giggle. Well, people, it's Movember.
Do you not like Movember?
I'm not a huge fan.
Why?
It feels musty. For those of you who don't know what Movember is, it's a movement that supports promoting physical and mental well-being among men, addressing very important issues. I cannot laugh right now. Very important issues like prostate cancer, testicular cancer, mental health challenges, and suicide prevention. Those are serious. What is not serious is the mustaches that come in Movember.
That's what you don't like.
Well, that's it. I think musty was a good word. Is it a bad word? That's not a bad word.
No, it's just not one that I would associate
Like
with
a
it.
damp cellar, like it just, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about the serious stuff, but the mustaches are a big thing right now. They're back.
They are. And I don't like them either.
You really don't?
I can do like the full beard.
Yes.
Or maybe a goatee.
Mm-hmm. I mean, my husband has a goatee, so I got to go in on that one. Yeah. But that's because he can't grow the full beard. But anyway, sorry, honey.
Doug is kind of patchy too. So luckily he's got to stay pretty clean for the military. But just the mustaches feels a little trashy.
It is. Here's the funny thing is that my oldest is in college and all of her guy friends have them.
Are they curled up on the ends?
Some of them are.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. They've got some things going on. They all look like maybe they have an interesting story behind them. Like they wear a top hat and they play in a band or
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
some character.
It's interesting. And there's a little bit of an attitude that comes with the mustaches. It's just interesting. But Movember, I think I'm really glad there's this movement for men. I think for women, we've got a lot of movements and, we fight like girls and all the things that come behind the women's issues. And so I do think it's a wonderful platform. And I mean, here we are talking about it.
Yeah.
Right. And so prostate cancer, I have had more people in my life diagnosed with prostate cancer in the last 2 years than ever before. Now, maybe it's my age. Maybe it's because I'm in my 50s, but I'm talking, I have a dear friend right now who's in his 40s just got diagnosed, and it's a pretty aggressive type. And that is one thing about cancer, I will say, is that as somebody who's had breast cancer twice and my husband having cancer twice, kidney and then chronic myeloid leukemia, people would always say, for me with breast cancer, like, oh, it's breast cancer. I mean, it'll be fine. And it's just a lack of us understanding that with every single cancer diagnosis, there are other variables in there. There are other things at play. And so it's not just a one size fits all. And prostate cancer, kind of same thing. I think, oh, prostate, not a huge deal. You'll be fine. Well, some people aren't.
Yeah.
And it's not caught early enough. And so we've got some prostate cancer symptoms. Candace, if you don't mind sharing those so that people can just be aware of what they are.
Yes. Keep an eye out for the following symptoms for prostate cancer: difficulty starting urination, weak or interrupted flow of urine, urinating often, especially at night, trouble emptying the bladder completely, pain or burning during urination, blood in the urine or semen, pain in the back, hips, or pelvis that does not go away, and painful ejaculation.
I think what's hard about this is that a lot of these symptoms seem to me very common with somebody who is aging.
Yeah,
And
especially the urine.
Right? And there's so much about, hello, welcome early on a Sunday morning, but so much about urine. I mean, we're talking about prostate cancer. And so for those of you who aren't, familiar with that, it's really a man's prostate is a small walnut-sized gland that produces the seminal fluid. And so, it's all tied in there together. And it's stuff we have to be talking about. And thanks to Movember for, making us do it.
We're going to do it.
I will say, if you're having any of these symptoms, you've got to talk with your primary care physician. If you don't have a primary care, you need to be talking with somebody. This is important stuff for you, to be aware of. And then there's testicular cancer symptoms. And so these are a painless lump in the testicle, which is the most common sign. And keep in mind, a painless lump. How many people brush that off as something else, right? Or let it go. Don't let those things go. Swelling of the testicle with or without pain, a feeling of weight in the testicles, a dull ache or pain in the testicle, scrotum, or the groin, tenderness or changes in the male breast tissue. And so these are such critical things to be aware of. If you want to learn more about the Movember movement, you can visit us.movember, MOVEMBER.com. Again, visit us.movember.com. Candace, you're not going to be growing your mustache out for the month of November?
I'll wait until next year.
You'll keep plucking.
I do have a few little hairs in my chin, just right here, that I have to keep an eye out for about once a month.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about all of you listening, but as women, we often say these things to each other. Like I've said to Candace before, if something were to happen to me, you have to be sure to pluck my face. I mean, there are just certain rules that would be put into place at that point in my life, and I would need you to take on
I got you, girl.
that role.
Got you.
For those of you who are new to the show, you're walking into what I'm sure feels like a bunch of strangeness, and welcome to Caregiver Crossing. But we do want to tell you, we created this show because there are so many of us who are caregiving. There are almost 1 million family caregivers in the state of Indiana, with an economic value of, I can't remember, I want to say
something in the billions.
11, I think. I mean, in our state. And so what we are committed to here at Joy's House is making sure that we are uplifting and seeing and educating and connecting family caregivers. And so Caregiver Crossing, this show is created for that purpose with you in mind. We also have care kits. We've got integrated healthcare coordination. We have a software program coming out called Caregiver Way that is a big deal. And we have an end-of-life doula program as well. And so if you're interested, if you're a caregiver and just want to learn more, go to our Facebook page. We're launching all this month. This is National Caregiver Month. And so we are celebrating the things that we are able to do to lift up caregivers in our community. So go to our social media pages, check us out. You'll see some videos of Candace on there talking about the care
yeah, I
kit.
saw that.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
And get in contact with us. And if our adult day services don't help, it's okay. We're here for you as a caregiver as well. So,
and I think that's a fair point, Tina, because I may not make a phone call because I don't want to be sold on something that I'm not sure that I need. And I'm glad that we pride ourselves in saying we may not be the right fit. Let us help you find what's going to fit you, your loved one, and your family the best if it's not us.
For sure. Our coworker, Laura, used to say, we are never going to be the place that's like, got a mom for 1995. We can help.
Exactly.
Like, that's not it. If we're not the right fit, we will gladly connect you with somebody else who is, because it just might be you like the vibe of someplace or something else, better. But check us out. We're biased. We've been here for eons.
But we're good people.
Joy's House, joyshouse.org. You can always learn more there. We're going to have to take a break. When we come back, we are going to have a conversation with a woman named Susie Fitt. And Susie's been a part of Joy's House throughout time. She is a board member with Villa Licci, and they are the first living community for folks living with a traumatic brain injury in the United States. It's happening right here in Westfield. Really fascinating stuff.
That's surprising to me that it's the first one.
I think so too. Like, I have questions about that. And then how did they decide what they wanted to do and why is Westfield the right place? But I think Susie's got some stats, I think, on how many folks are living with traumatic brain injuries, which is, things like from a fall or an accident or an instrument, a blunt, trauma to the head. There are a lot more people living with traumatic brain injury and being diagnosed now in the state of Indiana than ever before. So stick around. We'll be back in just a moment with more Caregiver Crossing.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you by Joy's House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. With 20 communities owned, operated, or managed in the Midwest, and more than 40 years of senior living experience, Cardon and Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Visit cardon.us for more information and to find a community near you. Stay put. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing right after the break.
We're back on Caregiver Crossing, and we are so excited about our next guest. I know we talked about her briefly before we closed out for the break, but her name is Susie Fitt, and Susie comes with us as a board member for Villa Licci. And I have a feeling a lot of you listeners have heard something about Villa Licci because there is a buzz in the air. And so first of all, Susie, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you. And also, just before we move any further, just thanks for this opportunity to share our vision and to get the word out about Villa Licci.
Absolutely. Well, let's tell people what it is, and then Candace and I have so many questions. But when you're describing Villa Licci to somebody at this point, what is it that you're telling them?
Well, Villa Licci actually is a pioneer in meeting residential needs and independent living for adults that are living with traumatic brain injury. Currently, there's nothing in the nation like it. So we feel that this is a very unique opportunity and something that our young adults want to have. They want to live on their own. They want to be independent. They want to have their own autonomy. So to me, this is critical, especially as we parents age out and we're asking ourselves where our loved one's going to be when we're gone.
It's such a common question. You know, at Joy's house, we see adults living with all kinds of disabilities, and traumatic brain injury is one of those diagnoses. And I feel like we've seen it more and more in the last probably 10 years. But can you explain to people what a traumatic brain injury, what it is?
Yes. So first of all, let me just say there's approximately 130,000 living in our state alone with traumatic brain injury.
Wow.
And traumatic brain injury is assault to the brain, whether it be by a fall, a car accident, a blunt instrument to the brain. It's not something that you're born with. It's not acquired like a stroke or anoxia. It's basically a hit to the brain or a car accident where you've hit your skull. And all of those neurons in the brain are twisted and sheared. And your brain never really can be the brain it was prior to that accident. Now, you can come a long way, and I never want to tell people to give up hope because there's always hope after brain injury. But there is a change. And I think that's hard for a lot of families early on in the journey to get their head around, if that's a fair statement.
I think that's fair, Susie. Excuse me. Walk us through what Villa Licci looks like for you and for potential clients.
Oh, yeah, this has been just a vision of mine for years. I've looked around. We visited several other models throughout the U.S. That are developmental. So we use those models as kind of like a starting point. But in our vision, it's just for folks with traumatic brain injury because they understand that they knew who they were before their injury. They knew that the desires or the roles of jobs. We had people that were accountants, who were marketing people, who were college students, who had goals and dreams and aspirations that got stopped in a moment's notice. So now they're having to relive their life in an altered manner. Villa Licci will a place where they can go and be around people who get that, who understand the grief that they're having, plus also foster friendships and community. Whereas if you're put into an area where there's a developmentally, not that there's anything wrong with it, but there's no connection because they don't understand, or nor should they. So we feel like that would be apartments, individual apartments, and potentially some villas on the campus that we'll have, plus a community building is my vision that would have a place for fundraising. It would have an exercise room. It would maybe have a place for students to come in and work with our residents in other modalities like PTOT. These are just visions at this point, but that's the vision that I have.
And I think it's completely doable, Susie. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I believe it will be. I feel like also these are going to be semi-independent individuals. And by that, I mean people that can live independently with assist. They will continue to carry on their Medicaid waiver folks, whatever that looks like. We won't be providing any of that. A lot of these folks, like my son has a part-time job, so they'll go on to their part-time jobs, or they may be taking classes, or they may just be employed on site. We'll have them do things on site to make them give to feel self-fulfilled. Would love to have a rec therapist come in to do activities for them so that they can get out into the community. You know, that's the goal, that I want them to live as close to their normal life as possible, whatever that norm is. I know all of us say, you know, all people's norms change, right? Throughout our lives.
What's normal anymore?
Well, yeah, what's normal? And I don't want to make it sound odd, but they really just want to live. I'll never forget a young man that I was in a support group that I helped run at RHI, and we weren't getting young people there. And I went to Terry and I said, tell me why we don't get any young people. He says, because we're tired of talking about brain injury. We just want to live.
Mm.
That just stuck with me. And that's when I started our support group, because I wanted to give them an opportunity to go out and do fun things along with some educational meetings. But they
Oh, Susie, we're losing you just a little bit here. I don't know if you can hear me, but so you are hearing the voice of Susie Fitt. She is a board member and vision behind Villa Licci, and they are coming to, it's the first living community for folks living with a traumatic brain injury in the U.S. An incredible program. Susie, I know this is a very personal thing for you. You have publicly shared and spoken in front of Congress and others about traumatic brain injuries and getting people involved in community. Can you share what it was that happened with your son? Oh, goodness, was it 23 years ago?
Yes, it was 21 years ago.
Okay.
He was a student at Purdue and was coming home and had a car accident. And he always had his seatbelt. For whatever reason, he did not that night, went through the windshield 20 feet onto pavement, and we were told that to let him pass, that he was not going to make it. We went home to plan his funeral, and on Monday morning we came back and they said we have no choice but to continue treatment. So in my eyes, God had a different plan for us.
For sure.
And so since that time, we've been rehabbing or fighting to get as much back as possible. And it's a long haul. And unfortunately for our population, it's the rest of their lives, they have to do some form of rehab or cognitive training, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And I'm a huge advocate of that. And I continue to preach that to all of our young adults, because a lot of them just think it's going to happen by osmosis, and you got to work like anything. And I tried it with my son. It's like an athlete, or it's like anyone that's an Olympian. They just don't go and do their activity and then come back and eat bonbons. They're working every day. To be the best they can be.
Well, and we're going to ask you to stick around for the next segment, because I think that's part of the conversation of community and purpose. And so Susie Fitt, again, is joining us here in Caregiver Crossing. We're going to take a break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment to talk more with Susie about Villa Licci that is coming to Indiana soon.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you weekly by Joyce House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. We're here every Sunday to bring you support, education, and hopefully a good laugh. Visit caregivercrossingradio.org to connect with us, hear past episodes, learn more about caregiver support resources in the community, and much more. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing right after the break. Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing. We've got just a few more minutes here, but Susie Fitt is still joining us on the line, and we're going to finish up the show with her today.
Excellent. So glad, Susie, that you are still with us. And we're talking about Villa Licci that is coming to Westfield area. Is that right, Susie?
That's correct, yes. 13 acres we have.
I mean, the plans on the website are fantastic. It really helps. I'm a visual person, so that helps a lot.
Thank you.
Tell us when you're expecting to open.
Well, so right now it's going to depend on the success of raising the funds and just shows like this. And we've been out getting awareness to people. So getting the word out to other TBIs and their families is huge. But it is just the fundraising phase now. So we really don't have an opening date per se.
That's okay.
Obviously.
Not for profit, right?
Non-for-profit. We're a 501c3, yes.
Yep. And what is your goal, financial?
We're looking at $14 million.
Okay. And if people want to make a donation, if they want to learn more, if they want to get on a wait list, how do they find you?
So our website, we've tried to make it simple, brainentry.me. And what I would strongly suggest anyone that's interested is to go out on brainentry.me and sign up. We do a monthly newsletter called The Survivor, and that will keep you on abreast of what's happening with our project. Also, it will keep you in a database. So as this develops, information will continue to start coming to you.
Susie, you're fostering some big support from some NFL players, aren't you?
We are very blessed to have Joe Reich and his wife. They are our spokespeople, as I would say, and we're doing a radio campaign with WIBC. They've been doing a phenomenal job, and we're getting a lot of feedback from their spots that they're doing on the radio. Yeah, we feel very blessed to have he and his wife.
That's so great.
Yeah,
now,
wonderful.
You told us before the break that you unfortunately have had the experience of walking alongside of your son with a traumatic brain injury, and glad to hear that he's doing well and that he's working and, looking forward to community. But we know that you have learned a lot in these last 21 years. And so what advice would you give to other caregivers who are maybe new to supporting individuals living with a traumatic brain injury? Like, what key lessons have you learned along the way?
Well, number one, doctors can be very bleak because they have to. I'm not being negative towards them. It's just that's what they have to do. But don't give up hope. That's number one. But I really think that it's important to get into a support group, because from those support groups, you learn about what services are out there. There's a lot of education that comes in to talk to our families and survivors. And there's several support groups within Marion County and contiguous counties that you can go out to. You can find the list on Brain Injury Association of Indiana. There's a whole list out there. And I would strongly suggest any family get plugged in, because that's where you learn a lot of what resources and services are out there.
Well, and Susie, I would tell you, we've at Joy's house in Broad Ripple, we have hosted some of the TBI support groups in the past. And, we'd be happy to do that for your organization, for others. We always want to be here for a community for people who are aging or living with some kind of a life-altering diagnosis. So if we can help you in any way, let us know.
Yes, absolutely. And I, like I said, I got onto your web and I looked at your caregiver packages, and I think that's just a phenomenal tool for folks to have. Everyone's at a different place, and you grow given your situation. Everyone moves at a different pace, but that's number one. Also, there's a wonderful publication from the Brain Injury Association of America called The Challenger, and they're very up to date with all of the regulatory issues as well as any kind of research that's happening. I would strongly suggest that you try to get a publication of that monthly. I get that and go through that every month because there's always something new that I can glean from that.
Do you know how many people you think are going to be able to, that was a weird way to ask a question, but how many people do you think will be able to live at Villa Licci when it's open?
Well, the first phase, we'd like to see 35 to 50 one-bedroom apartments, in addition to some villas. Second phase would be the same numbers. And then we have to kind of wait and see. And our thought process was that we want to learn to do it well first before we grow too large.
Good idea.
But with 130,000 in the state of Indiana, not to say all need housing, but there's a large amount that do. We have a lot of homeless with traumatic brain injury today, which is devastating to me. And then we have a lot of young adults living in an apartment that have caregivers come in, but they're lonely. They have no one to talk to. And it's not the way a quality of life should be. And until I can't let my son live in that manner. He lives with us at home. He has since his injury. And I can assure you, living with us is the last thing he wanted to do.
Susie, how can people get on the wait list for Villa Licci?
Well, we don't have a wait list per se, but what I would say is go to braininjury.me, ask for our survivor publication that comes out monthly. When you do that, it's free. Then your name will be put into a database, and anything that's happening with Villa Licci comes out on that survivor. So as a wait list would appear, it would be given that information to you out in that publication.
So braininjury.me, sign up for the survivor publication, and then you'll be getting updates and everything periodically after that.
And anything that we are sending out, you will be in that database and you will also see the information. Basically, all it's asking for is an email or an address, basically.
I'll make sure to get everything linked in the show notes for today, so you have all of the important information.
Well, we really appreciate you being here. So again, Susie Fitt, board member with Villa Licci. Keep an eye out for them. And if you're looking to make a donation or learn more, go to braininjury.me. Thank you so much, Susie, for being here.
Yeah, again, thank you both. We really appreciate this opportunity to spread the word.
All right, folks, that's it for us this week on Caregiver Crossing. As we close the show, we just want to remind everyone that you can contact Tina McIntosh for more information and resources to help you through the caregiving journey. You can email her at tina@joycehouse.org, or you can always call us at 317-254-0828. We also want to thank our sponsors. Caregiver Crossing is sponsored by Cardon & Associates, with 20 communities owned, operated, or managed in the Midwest, and more than 40 years of senior living experience. Cardon & Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Okay, until next time, take good care of each other.